Currently he's based in New Zealand, but he's kindly come to the United States to share with us and enlighten us. And Devamrita Swami is author of many books, like we have some of his books here displayed. He's a guru, he's a traveling monk. And tonight he's going to enlighten us on the topic of gratitude. So let's give a hand to His Holiness Devamrita Swami and welcome him. We're going to have a talk by Devamrita Swami and then we'll have dinner. Please stay, and then we have the same program tomorrow evening at 6:30. Thank you.
Thank you for gathering here this day before Thanksgiving. I thought it was an appropriate time to consider the topic of gratefulness, gratitude. Is it just something sentimental? Is it something superfluous, not so necessary? Or is it something crucial for our genuine development? Before we understand gratitude, we need to think. What is truly worthwhile? What is truly valuable? Naturally, we're grateful for any little gesture, any random act of kindness, any slight perk that we can get that will make our stay in this world less inconvenient and less painful. As described in Bhagavad Gita, the essential yoga text, Krishna explains that existence in this realm of matter, it's called a realm of matter because the consciousness of matter predominates. Even though we are spiritual entities, we have succumbed. We've come under the influence. We're driving under the influence of illusion. And that illusion is about our misidentifying with the body and mind as the self, and our forgetting our connection with the supreme ultimate reality. All this misidentification and forgetfulness results in struggle. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains very concisely in Sanskrit, Manasasthanindriyani prakritistani karshati. The living entity conditioned in this world is struggling mightily with senses and a mind. So usually we think of our senses as tools for getting what we want, for grappling with what we want, for interacting with what we want and experiencing what we want. And from the ancient yoga point of view, the mind is also a sense. It's known as the sixth sense. The mind feels things. So, to understand our struggle in this world of matter is crucial for our showing genuine gratitude. So why is this struggle so important? We are spiritual entities trapped in matter. In material existence, matter takes the center of the stage, and our spiritual desires and needs fade into the background at best, or at worst, just totally lost they become. Ordinarily, this should not be so. Somehow, we have lost ourselves as spirit souls within a matrix of material illusion. So then, naturally, there's a struggle. We've entered into artificial existence, disconnecting ourselves from the supreme whole. We then march through a temporary world of matter, we're equipped with a temporary body and mind. And in this way we attempt to fulfill ourselves, satisfy ourselves. So in this struggle, anything that will ease the anxieties, anything that will ease the discomfort, we're grateful for. Oh, thank you for making my sojourn through material existence a little easier. This is how people are generally grateful. Thank you for helping me make it through the day. Thank you for helping me make it through the night. Thank you for helping me make it through this year. In this way, we acknowledge that the struggle is wearisome. Indeed, an intelligent person becomes tired, becomes exhausted of so much desiring. Because an intelligent person can perceive that all the desires lead to exhaustion, because the fulfillment, the completion is not there. Of course, sometimes persons speculate that since we have such a problem fulfilling our desires, it must mean that any form of desire should be eradicated. I don't know if you've ever tried that, to extinguish all desire. But let me tell you, it's impossible. Desire is the symptom of your spiritual identity. The problem, however, is caused when we misidentify with the body and mind. And therefore our desire potency, shall we say, just is totally out of whack. We are desire entities, but when we express our desires through the matrix of matter, ruled by time, we have lots of problems. So therefore, we feel grateful. Amidst our problematic struggle, we feel grateful if someone can just grease the rails a little bit so our train can move a little faster towards what we want. We feel grateful if someone can just soothe us with understanding and sympathy. But do we ever look and see, where is our train heading? Can you imagine getting on an airplane and the flight attendants take nice care of you? They don't charge you for snacks, and they give you your headset so you can watch movies or whatever. and you are grateful. Thank you for trying to make my flight a more enjoyable experience. But you never address the issue of, where are you going? What's the destination of the airplane? So certainly we should be grateful for anyone who tries to lighten our load. But we shouldn't let that elementary gratitude distract us from what is most precious. That is the destination where we are heading. Now, it's not simply that we suffer from a misidentification problem in terms of our identity. We also have invested belief in a very potent hallucination known as material happiness. Material happiness, as the yoga texts describe, is like a shooting star that appears on the night sky, and while it's there momentarily, it looks so fascinating, but then it's gone. So combine these two syndromes, the misidentification as matter and the belief in something known as material happiness, we get ourselves in quite some situations. How to properly show gratitude within all the ordeals of life. What I'd like to share with you tonight is that a genuinely grateful person knows where he or she is going, and therefore you can be sincere about expressing your thanks. But how can you express the depths of gratitude? How can you express the depths of appreciation for someone's helped you if you yourself have no vision for where you are going? Very few of you would step into a vehicle, an airplane, a boat, or a train and just, I don't know where I'm going. You don't even have to tell me where we're going. I'm just thankful to be here. You'd never do that. The first thing on your mind would be, where are we going? And then you would be thankful for whatever conveniences and perks are there. You'd thank the driver, the pilot, but you have firm in your mind, we're meant to go somewhere. So one point I'd like to stress tonight is that real gratitude requires knowledge. Can you remember when you were a little kid, you felt so grateful if anyone would do anything that would make you happy, give you a new toy, or take you to a baseball game? I remember I was a little kid, my father took me to a baseball game. I was so happy. Oh, this is the ultimate. Oh, my dreams are coming true. I'll get to see those stars that I would only see on television now. I will see them in the flesh. Life doesn't get any better than this. Now, certainly, I should be grateful to my father who went through the trouble. He took the special effort after his work to take me to a baseball game. But you all would agree, it's not the most important thing. So my point is that to really tap into the depths of genuine gratitude in our heart, we really have to know what we're doing. And then that gratitude we express will be so powerful. As little children, how powerful is your gratitude? Of course, loving parents accept any expression of appreciation from the children. But at the same time, the parents know, how deep can it go? The children, they don't know much. They're inexperienced about life. In fact, many parents will tell you they long for the time when the children will grow up and really show that they are conscious of all the sacrifice, of all the efforts that the parents have gone through. In other words, gratitude is something quite expensive, not in terms of requiring money, but in terms of requiring knowledge. And from the yogic point of view, we find that it is this precise knowledge of what is the self, what is the self part of, what is the mission of the self, what is the supreme self. Because this precise knowledge is missing throughout society. How can people show the genuine depths of gratitude? So we are all for Thanksgiving. But Thanksgiving is not a cheap thing. It requires consummate knowledge. So where do we go to get that consummate knowledge? That is the quest of the precious human form of life. Where do we go to get that consummate knowledge? You see, it is the responsibility of every human being to find the most comprehensive, profound spiritual knowledge possible. Inbuilt with the human body, inbuilt with our possessing a human body, is this responsibility. We can't say, well, there's so many spiritual teachers, so many spiritual books, who knows where to turn. We have that responsibility as human beings with developed human consciousness to find out the greatest spiritual knowledge possible. And with that greatest reservoir of spiritual knowledge, we can then, as I explained before, tap deep into the gratitude. And when we are grateful based on knowledge, that expression of gratitude is so powerful. This is why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that the fire of transcendental knowledge burns. It's not theoretical. It does things. By transcendental knowledge, we mean knowledge beyond material nature. Knowledge beyond the clutches of time. Although everyone here is a young adult or an adult, sometimes we behave very childishly because we don't know what is what. And we're willing to live our life without knowing precisely what is what. I remember as a little boy, Christmas Eve, my brother and I eagerly awaiting for Christmas morning to come so we could go and wake up early and open all our presents. We couldn't wait for morning to come. And we would jump out of bed 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., hours before normal, and race downstairs to the Christmas tree to open our presents. But what would happen every time? Every year, the same thing. Mother would beat us there to the Christmas tree. She would say, "Stop. You can't open the presents yet. You have to wait till your father wait till your father rises, because he wants to see your faces as you open the presents. He's worked so hard to buy you presents. So he wants to, we want to give him that joy of seeing your faces as you open the gifts." So my little brother and I were, what does that have to do with anything? There are gifts, our presents. Why is it so crucial that Father sees our faces? In other words, our desire for enjoyment far overshadowed any little understanding we had of the value of gratitude. We just wanted to tear open the gift wrappings and tear off the ribbons and get into it. But Mother wouldn't let us. No, you have to wait. Just wait a few hours. It's 5:30 in the morning. Your father should be up at 8 o'clock. We just couldn't understand it. What's the big deal? Why does he want to see our faces? We open the gifts. There are gifts. He already bought them, so we're just little kids. We didn't understand. Mother understood. Father needs to see our appreciation. Father needs to feel that he's doing good and providing for his children. And certainly there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of fathers don't do this these days. But my point in explaining this anecdote is that although we are young adults or full-fledged adults, we're also like little kids. We get so caught up in the temporary happiness and distress of this world that we fail to ask some basic questions so that we can show genuine gratitude. What would be the greatest thing that could happen to me? Now, let's do a mental exercise. If we take a moment of silence, let's just have a moment of silence now, and give yourself permission to have all that you desire. Tell yourself it's safe. I can have all that I desire. And in this moment of silence, just feel it all coming to you, all that I desire. I think that we'll understand. It's a very serious thing to desire. We really need to know what is the best thing. I also remember, as a teenager, sitting at the Thanksgiving dinner table with the relatives, and our family had the habit of every Thanksgiving inviting the local minister to come by and make a prayer. The teenagers in the family, including myself, this wasn't a favorite moment of ours, because the minister would make a long, winding prayer, at least 10 minutes. And we had to sit there, and meanwhile the Thanksgiving dinner was on the table. And so we're just wanting to dive in. But the minister is making a 10-minute prayer, and we had to sit at the table with our heads bowed in silence. And while he thanked God for as much as he could fit in 10 minutes. He would thank God for the health of the family, for the prosperity of the family, for the presence of the family members coming from afar. Nothing wrong with such gratitude. But as a teenager, I was getting cynical. I was wondering, isn't this very limited gratitude? What is infinite gratitude? What is all-encompassing gratitude? So after he finished his 10-minute prayer, then my uncle would hand him an envelope, because the minister would go from house to house making prayers and collecting envelopes with his donation. So at one point, one of my super rebellious cousins, who's an older teenager, he decided to announce before the Thanksgiving happened the next year, let's not invite the minister. We can save the money also. No envelopes, no minister, no 10-minute prayers. So I've got a great Thanksgiving prayer. We can all recite. It takes 10 seconds and does the job. Expresses gratitude. So he announced this to all the family members. Listen to this prayer. Don't you think it's great? Here it goes. Good Lord, good meat, good gravy, let's eat. Of course, my parents, aunts, and uncles were a bit taken aback. You've missed the point. That this is not the proper way to show gratitude. It sounds like just a quick prayer. No one protested, about the meat part, and that's part of human diet, of course. But it was so pithy and so concise that the emotions didn't have a chance, as they sought, to get into it. Good Lord, good meat, good gravy, let's eat. So my point in telling this story is so you can see that people expect that showing gratitude is a dynamic, significant activity. But how can our hearts experience the depths of gratitude without full knowledge of our situation? And full knowledge of our situation means our identity beyond the influence of time. Earlier we discussed misidentification with the body and mind as the self, forgetfulness of our connection to the Supreme, and we also discussed our false belief in material happiness as something substantial. Now, sometimes when people look at the yoga texts, especially Bhagavad Gita, and they see material happiness being minimized. Sometimes people get confused. To be a yogi, does that mean I'm against material happiness? I mean, this world is tough enough. It's such a struggle. Why in the world would we look down upon material happiness? To become a yogi, does that mean I have to be some kind of killjoy? No happiness. To be a stoic? No. That is not the point. For example, what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us is the gradation of happiness, and pointing out to us that the human form of life is meant for the supreme happiness. So just like we get a little glimmer of delight from temporary material happiness, there is so much more available to us. So the yogi is actually one who knows how to connect with the ultimate reservoir of pleasure. In fact, the very name Krishna means the all-attractive reservoir of pleasure, as many of you know. So how is it that if the yogi is seeking connection to that ultimate source of pleasure, how can it be said that such a yogi is against pleasure? So basically, what we are dealing with is the gradation of pleasure, different levels, and the responsibility of a human being to go for the topmost pleasure. Upon connecting to the topmost pleasure, you'll feel the topmost gratitude. I remember during my university days, almost 40 years ago, my friends, they considered me a consummate pleasure lover. That was their estimation. He always knows where the good times are, where all the happening events are. But I began to think, how can I genuinely be a pleasure lover if I don't know about pleasure that has no beginning or end? So I decided, midway through my university studies, that I must find pleasure beyond beginning and end. And then I can truly be grateful. Otherwise, I'll just become cynical. I felt that either I become cynical or else I have to become superficially grateful. In other words, gratitude without any depth. How are you? I'm fine. I'm really glad to be here. I wanted to go much deeper than that. Therefore, knowledge is required, practice and process is required. So let us think about our desires and how we so appreciate it if someone will help us fulfill our desires. We naturally consider, you're helping me fulfill my desires, I'll help you fulfill your desires. In that way, by my helping you fulfill your desires, I show you my gratitude for your helping me fulfill my desires. So in this way, we spend our days in a kind of, mercantile exchange. How much are you helping me with my desires? That, of course, will influence how much I help you with your desires. And naturally, we have to take a look at the balance sheet from time to time. Not every day, of course, but every human being in this world has to be a bit practical and take a look at the balance sheet in terms of how much I'm doing for you and how much you're doing for me. It's just part of life in this world. And then we always excuse ourselves. Hey, I didn't make this world. I didn't make this world the way it is. We're just living in a situation that we didn't create. And we're trying to do the best we can. So once again, how much are you doing for me? It's not that I ask this question every day, but it has to be considered. I'm sure you'll agree. And psychologists will support us in that evaluation. If we're going to take our gratitude to a much higher level, then naturally we'll have to understand what is real love. And what is real love is that is the primary concern of the yoga system. Once we understand yoga as connection, then we try to consider what is the ultimate connection. Because when we consider what is the ultimate connection, there we will find ultimate love, the love supreme. That quest for the love supreme. For me, it hit me when I was 15. I heard a very beautiful, revolutionary jazz record, because I was a jazz fan at the age of 15, called The Love Supreme, in which love of the Supreme was advocated as the ultimate goal in life. And I was just shocked. Yes, this is where I should be heading. When there's the love supreme, there can be supreme gratitude. But as long as we are lost in the temporary cosmos, in a temporary body and mind, how can we feel real gratitude? And that superficiality bugs us. Hi, how are you? I'm fine. How you doing? I'm good. Even when we thank people, we just feel kind of hollow. I thank you very much, We have to be a bit hollow because we don't know what's best for us. So we are thankful to the depths of our realization. We can't go any farther than the depths of our realization in terms of gratitude. And I know we feel bad about that. I wish I could express more gratitude, but there's just something about this world that doesn't hit the spot. But I don't know anything else. So we've just got to pretend as much as we can. Hopefully we may bump into something better, but we're not going to hold our breath. To the yogi belongs genuine gratitude. To the genuine yogi, who goes deep beyond the material coverings, beyond time. What inspires the topmost yogi is not even freedom from material illusion, freedom from material existence. Now this is amazing, because you'd think that if someone finally wised up to the material illusion and wanted to escape, wanted liberation from material existence, that would be something to really be grateful for. It's like you've been in prison for countless births, and suddenly someone gives you the keys to get out of your cell. That would really be something to be grateful. For the bhakti yogi, the yogi seeking the love supreme, the ultimate connection through divine love, even liberation from material misery is considered insignificant. Once you are free from material existence, and that happens very rarely these days, once you are free, then what do you do with yourself? So in this way, the yoga texts explain that bhakti yoga, yoga of pure love and devotion, minimizes the value of liberation, of freedom from material existence. This is amazing. Amazing thought. Who wouldn't want to escape the matrix of illusion? Who wouldn't want to escape material misery? Any intelligent person would want to do so. But far beyond even that rare status is ultimate connection with the reservoir of pleasure. In this way, the bhakti yogi considers liberation or mere freedom from material existence to be so insignificant. It's like if while I'm talking someone's cell phone goes off. Or overhead now you hear the sound of an aircraft. It's there, but it's not a crucial event. So similarly, for the yogi in devotion, even such an apparently monumental achievement as liberation from material existence is considered trite and superfluous. What to speak of mystic powers? In fact, the pure transcendental lover, aiming for the love supreme, considers the desire for liberation from material existence, the desire for mystic powers, to be impediments on the path of pure love. Because in order to express real gratitude, you don't want anything for yourself. You want to give all the pleasure to the ultimate source, all the pleasure to Krishna. Now you may say, well, if the ultimate source has all the pleasure, then why do we need to, why do we need to give any more? Shouldn't everyone look out for, for themselves? But the yoga texts explain that because we are part of the Supreme, we are tiny particles of consciousness, naturally and organically, by our giving pleasure to the Supreme, we're automatically included without having to worry about ourselves. That's the topmost mysticism. How by watering the tree at the root, all the branches automatically blossom. So the bhakti yogi is grateful just for the chance of connecting with the ultimate source and giving pleasure to the ultimate source. This is the platform of highest reality. So I invite you all on this day before Thanksgiving to consider your options, consider the gratitude that comes your way, consider things that you should be grateful for. But at the same time, please evaluate. As a human being, we must evaluate. We can't take things on autopilot. would the greatest gratitude be for me? Before coming here to the USA, I was in Canada, and before that Brazil, before that various parts of Eastern and Western Europe, before that India. So while I was in Ukraine, traveling throughout that country, it's actually the biggest country in Europe. But it's a country with many political and social problems. I mean, people work very hard just to survive. So I told them a true story from the USA. I said, did you know that in the month of June, there was a man in Missouri, he won the lottery for $1.5 million. You know the chances, mathematical chances of that. So then I explained to this audience in Ukraine. What I'm going to say is going to be difficult for you to accept, because I know your life here is such a hard struggle. I mean, USA in recession can't compare to what everyday life is like in Ukraine. Let me point out that one month after this man in Missouri won the lottery for $1.5 million, he won it again for $2 million. Do you know what the mathematical odds for that are? Now, how would you feel if that were you? You'd think you'd be genuinely grateful. But there are far more glorious things to be had. I explained, this is the difficult thing to understand. How there are things far more glorious to have. Things so glorious that they minimize the value of such material achievements. Things that minimize the value of even having mystic powers. Yogis who have mystic powers laugh at material wealth, because with their mystic powers they can practically get whatever they want within this material world. And those yogis who can escape material existence entirely, they look down upon mystic powers. But the topmost yogis, the yogis connected to the love supreme, they consider everything else as mere broken pieces of glass. Whether it's extraordinary material wealth or development of mystic powers or escape from material existence altogether, nothing compares to the love supreme. Nothing allows such an expression of gratitude. So yes, let us be grateful. Let's be hungry for the topmost gratitude. That will be a life-transforming event. So as we celebrate Thanksgiving tomorrow, let us think, how deep can it go? How deep can my thankfulness go? We heard my rebellious cousin's proclamation of gratitude for Thanksgiving. Good Lord, good meat, good gravy, let's eat. And then the minister, whom my parents invited, he went a bit deeper, thanking God for the safe arrival of all the family members, that they're in good health. Good health doesn't last. Our stay in this world doesn't last. So what deeper can we be grateful for? And how can we inspire others in pursuing the deepest, most comprehensive gratitude? These are questions that the Bhakti Yogi wrestles with. Just a delight to wrestle with such questions. So I leave you all with those thoughts, and I hope that you'll bravely accept whatever transformations in your life are necessary for making progress toward the love supreme, so that the deepest reservoirs of gratitude will be unlocked in our heart. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.